Game 3 from Cleveland. The Pistons won both games in Detroit. Red hot after falling behind Orlando 3-1 in round 1. So desperation time for the Cavs. And they played like it. Donovan Mitchell, so dynamic off the dribble, still in his 9th NBA season. Mitchell had 20 points and 5 rebounds in the first half. The first Cavs player to do so in a postseason first half since LeBron. Cavs led by work. 3 of 3 in the final 129 of the game. The 11th all-time leading scorer put the Cavs in front by 4. 25 seconds to go. Robinson, no. The Cavs will salt this one away. 116-109 the final. We've got a series again in Cleveland. Detroit on top 2-1.
How did you silence the chatter tonight and have this sort of response in Game 3?
What chatter? What chatter?
Donovan, you had it going throughout the course of the game tonight, and then in the last couple of possessions, kind of took a step aside for James. Why?
It's James Harden. like I am who I am, he is who he is, but that's what makes us so dynamic, right? You can, choose. It's easy as the outside world, can easily turn on you like that. Right, you know what I mean? But the biggest thing is how can you stay consistent throughout, even keel throughout. If you watch his face and demeanor, you couldn't tell if he's shooting well or shooting poorly.
I mean, chatter is going to be chatter regardless. Whether you do something good, whether you do something bad, for me. So, still, to give me opportunities in this fourth quarter, and I take advantage of them.
We did our job getting back into that game. Fourth quarter. Turnovers, little things that just careless turn. I wouldn't even say careless. I care about it a lot, but just bad plays. That could have got shots on the rim and could have gave us opportunity to win this game.
NBA champion Kendrick Perkins joins us now. Big Perk, 18 of the Cavs' 33 fourth quarter points came from Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. How was that duo able to take over Game 3?
Well, first, it's about damn time. We've been waiting on this moment. And they were able to take over it because it was a must-win situation. It was a sense of desperation there. And they actually valued the basketball and looked to get their buckets instead of trying to get others involved. The first, second, and third quarter, you could get guys involved, but at the end of the game, you want your 2 best scorers, especially on the perimeter, to take you home. And I thought they did an outstanding job of finding the balance between the two, mixing it up. And they did an excellent job of having a floor space. But again, this is not the time to overreact because they have to duplicate this again because they're in another must-win situation, in my opinion, because you don't want to go back to Detroit after Game 4 down 3-1.
Still a 2-1 series. And how about only MJ and AI, the only 2 players in NBA playoff history to average more points at home than Donovan Mitchell's 30.4. Incredible company. We got more from Big Perk coming up in just a bit. One of the big mysteries of the offseason unfolded Saturday when Steve Kerr agreed to return to the Warriors. It's a 2-year contract that'll keep Kerr the highest paid head coach in the NBA. Over 12 seasons, Golden State has enjoyed enormous success, winning 4 championships, 6 Western Conference titles, and of course that 73-win regular season back in 2015-2016. Big Perk, there were no guarantees that Kerr would return. So what's your reaction now that we know he will?
That Steph Curry is going to retire in the Golden State Warriors uniform because that's the only way that this contract agreement got done is because Steve Kerr wasn't going to coach anybody else and Steph Curry wasn't going to play for anybody else. So those two are tied together at the hip. And so what this means is that Steph Curry is most likely going to sign a contract extension, and then they're going to reevaluate the roster because they're still going to try to be a title contender and contend for a title. As long as you got Steph Curry, you're trying to go win a championship. And when you look at this roster is not built to win a championship from what they had this previous season. And so now that you got Steve Kerr inked in, they're going to get in the front office together, and they're going to make some moves this summer.
Feels kind of poetic that they might finish things up together. By the way, Kerr is a 9-time NBA champion, 5 as a player and 4 as a head coach, and you can guarantee a future Hall of Famer. Great wisdom from Kendrick Perkins.
Cleveland, a lot, of course, has been made of James Harden struggles. So is it just as simple as he just needs to play better, or is there maybe something the team can do to put him in a more advantageous position?
You know, I have spent years watching these James Harden playoff collapses and trying to rationalize them. Is he mentally not ready for the playoffs? Is he not physically conditioned? Is there something about his playing style that maybe doesn't translate? I've come up with all of these theories. It's so much simpler this year. He got old. It's that simple, right? I'm watching him try to score against Asar Thompson and Scotty Barnes, these younger, all defense level players, and he just has nothing for them. And that's not even my concern, because most players have nothing for those guys. It's when he's getting switches on the Duncan Robinsons and the Tobias Harrises of the world. He's not creating these huge advantages against them. He just looks old. He might not be capable of reaching star-level performance in the playoffs anymore. He might just be a regular season innings eater at this point. And if that's the case, you know, the Cavs put all of this capital into getting him. They trade Darius Garland. Donovan Mitchell seeks him out as his hand-picked co-star in the backcourt. I'm not sure they made the right choice. They traded up a decade to get him, and that decade is really, really starting to show. Again, he's had all of these playoff issues in the past. I don't even think that's the case. I just think he's old. I don't think he's athletic enough at this point for a team as physical and as big as the Pistons.
Yeah, James Harden, 36 years old, on the first year of a 2-year contract with the Cavs. So if this thing goes as quickly as it looks like it will, what does it mean for Cleveland's future?
Anything is on the table. Literally anything is on the table for them. Donovan Mitchell would be going into a contract year. If he isn't satisfied, and he was one of the driving forces behind getting James Harden, his future goes up in the air. Does he try to get somewhere specific? He wanted to be in New York when he, got traded from Utah. The Knicks no longer make sense. Is there another team out there that he'd like to play for? Evan Mobley, under more scrutiny now than he ever has been. There were all of these Giannis trade rumors. They popped back up again this week. Do the Cavs look at moving him for Giannis? Do they look at moving him for even somebody lesser than that? Like, would you maybe consider a Jaylen Brown type of trade for Evan Mobley? James Harden, he has this weird contract where he has a player option for $42 million, but only $13 million of that is guaranteed. If the Cavs aren't satisfied, do they say, get out of the James Harden business? Waive him, eat that $13 million. If he picks up the option, are they going to trade him as an expiring contract? I don't know that you can feel great about an extension for Harden unless he really drastically lowers the number. There's going to be all sorts of noise about LeBron James, given where the Lakers are, but I think they played well enough this postseason, and they have the home field advantage with his bird rights, that they're probably going to be able to re-sign LeBron. I'm sure the Cavs are going to take a crack at him. Literally anything's on the table at this point. They could change coaches. They could move any player. If they get swept in this series, it's DEFCON 1 for them. That's what happens when you trade a 26-year-old star for a 36-year-old star. You're all in on the present, and the present right now is not championship caliber.
We're talking about an old star in a 36-year-old James Harden, yet you're talking about potential for a 41-year-old LeBron James to come to Cleveland. Everyone's age is different. Certainly, LeBron does not look to be 41 based on what we've seen in this postseason, but just a kind of funny comparison there. Let's talk about winners, though, Sam. I mean, the Pistons, they've rattled off 5 straight dubs since falling to 3-1 against the Magic in the first series. From your point of view, what's clicked for this team?
Well, it helps when Tobias Harris is playing like Carmelo Anthony, right? But I'll focus on Cade Cunningham for a second. He comes into the playoffs still dealing with the lingering effects of that collapsed lung. He really struggles early in that series. He has all of these turnover issues, 24 turnovers in games 2, 3, and 4 against the Magic. Something happens after game 4. Franz Wagner gets hurt. Suddenly he feels a lot freer. The Magic don't have another high-level defender to throw at him. And the Cavs are trying with Dean Wade. Dean Wade doing an admirable job on him, but is just not a star defender. So Cade Cunningham looks a lot more comfortable, those turnover issues going away, and suddenly the entire rest of the Pistons offense really clicks. But this is something that I'm watching next round as we think they're going to wind up playing against the Knicks. OG Anunoby gave him a lot of problems in the first round last year. I believe he held him to around 33% field goal shooting in that series. So as we look forward, my question here is, can Cade Cunningham keep this up when he plays against a much better Knicks defense than he is against the Cavs defense right now that's frankly those 2 big men at the rim, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, and not much on the perimeter?
All right, if you won't talk about Tobias Harris, I will, as the Vols fan here. He's playing fantastic, right? Averaging 23.5 points over the last 5 games, being that Robin to the Cade Cunningham Batman. Sam Quinn, as always, we appreciate your analysis of what's happening in the association. Look forward to